All right, guys, I've got Dawn back with the second part of the series we're doing about the church we've been talking about. Excuse me, we've got allergies this morning, and she's going to pick up kind of where we left off. And of course, I'll probably have questions, so I'm going to let her go ahead and start where she left off, and this will be the second part.
Yeah, it'd be a continuation of the where I left off last time.
All right.
And then I guess tomorrow night it'll be picked up where it'll be live whenever I leave off today.
Yes, tomorrow will be live.
Okay, so once again, I'm not going to list the location or names, and hopefully I don't forget because I'm really tired. So we'll just hope and pray that I don't forget to do the names. Okay, so okay, well, I never did tell the kids, and I had both of my nephews and my niece in the school with us too, because that's where they went to school. They never set foot in a public school. So anyway, my oldest nephew, I'm going to be reading from the book, so if you see me looking down, that's why. My oldest nephew had seen a little girl in the playroom at night. This is way before he was school age, so we were outside the school. And my sister had decided not to let them watch any kind of spooky shows like, Scooby-Doo, or no cartoons or TV shows. And if they did, they would always the kids would be in bed, and my brother-in-law and my sister would watch, whatever. They didn't talk about the ghostly experiences we had in the house. We didn't, we basically they didn't even know about ghosts. So my nephew was probably about 4 years old or so. And we were out there swinging, and this is the same swings where I would sit when I saw my Bigfoot. Well, I mean, when I saw the shape outline of a Bigfoot encounter at night. Well, he was facing the school, so he could see the windows of the that one wing, and he started waving or something to the little girl in the mirror window. Nobody was in there because it was like at dusk, so school wasn't going on or anything like that.
Right.
And so we said, "Who are you waving to?" And my sister was out there with me, and he said, "There's a little girl in that back room." Well, that room was that's the room where that seance happened. So we were a little freaked out, but we still didn't tell him anything.
So is that girl still around that done the seance, or is she not around anymore?
I don't know. I haven't seen her in probably 30 years.
Okay, so she's not probably around town or anything.
Yeah, probably not. She didn't even live in town. I think she was just like a guest at the. Sorry, my cat decided to join. Say hi. No, she got down. Okay. She just joined our youth group for like a lock-in and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so after this incident, my nephew was in school, and he had always been afraid to go into that particular room that was in there, and then or the bathroom. He didn't want to go in there. Oh, he didn't want to go there by himself.
Right.
So now this next one, it still bothers me to tell this story because it is. Well, when I say it bothers me, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But if someone else has a similar encounter, that's when it tends to bother me the most. But this happened. Let's see, I wrote this down November 29th of 2004, but this happened before then. In our church, we had a man who was going to possibly be our youth lead. Well, not youth. I can't remember. I think he was supposed to be like our music director, maybe, and lead the youth at the same time. But our church ended up not having him. We hired somebody else. But his daughter would teach our pre-K, and the pre-K was right next to the girls' bathroom. So she would always, I had a habit back then. When I walked in, I'd put my stuff up in my locker because our teacher had a separate locker. And then I'd go down the hall and use the bathroom or go in the auditorium. So on this particular day, I had to go to the bathroom. Well, she's always playing the piano in the auditorium, which is to the left when you first walk in the kitchen door. The bathroom's to the right all the way down the hall and then to the left. Well, on this particular day, I was really tired, but I saw her. I think the doors were open, the auditorium doors were open, they're double doors. And she was playing the piano and they were getting ready for chapel. So the kids were milling around. You know, they weren't allowed in the classroom. So they would be, you know, kind of talking in the kitchen area or something like that. So she was in the, you know, the auditorium playing the piano. So I'm walking down the hallway and the door to her classroom was open and her classroom would be to the left. And I saw her sitting there in a chair reading a book. Now she would do that sometimes too. And so, but she gave me a very evil look, and I thought, well, what did I do to make her mad? You know, you know, we got along really great. So, you know, here I am thinking,
Right.
the way she turned her head was like, let's see, she would be I think she was facing me, looking up. I think she looked up or turned. I can't really remember the position of her head, but she did look up at me, and that's when I realized it wasn't her, because I could still hear her playing the piano down the hallway. I could see the dress she was wearing, you know, the face, it just didn't look like her. It had an evil look to her face.
So
And
do
I
you think
was,
something like manifested in her form?
yeah, demons can do that. They can portray living people, dead people, you know, animals, whatnot. They're the greatest deceivers along with Satan. You know, they can do, the only thing they can't do is kill people. You know, I
I
mean, they could probably scare someone to death, but they can't physically, you know, kill somebody because God told them they could not do that. If they did that, we wouldn't be here right now. Adam and Eve would be the first ones to go, and we would,
they would kill us before we were able to be saved.
right,
I agree totally with that.
yeah. And
And
so I'm sitting in the bathroom, and I'm rethinking what I just saw, and I'm like, I could still hear the piano playing, and I'm like, okay, when I go back down the hall, I am not looking at that classroom because I'm too scared. You know, I don't know. I just thought, okay, that's just too freaky. So when I did, and just in case it manifested into another classroom, I just kept my head down and walked as fast as I could. And even though I felt like something was watching me from behind, you know. And so my dad, um, he was somewhere in the auditorium or something. And I asked him to come over and I said, has Michelle, now I just wanted to clarify. I know what I saw, but
right,
I'd like to have, you know, um, I like to have clarification. I like to know for sure, you know, what I saw
right.
or you know, what happened. So I said, Dad, was um, this girl, young lady, was she in here the whole time? Did she ever leave? And he said, no, she's been in here the whole time. Why? And I said, oh, I was just wondering. Never told him anything because I've learned not to tell my dad stuff, you know.
Right.
And so that really freaked me out. And I don't even know what year that would have happened. Because I wrote it down in 2004. And it'd be easy to find out, but I'm not going back in that classroom. Not by myself anyway, because there's records I could look for in the school office and everything.
So
All right, trying to scare my cat away.
do you think we're going to be able to tour this school? I've got a lot of people have sent. I think I have like 47 emails asking about the
Oh, wow.
school. Yeah.
Uh, we'd have to do it when my dad's not around. and probably not film the front of it,
Right.
even though we
Right.
did before, because then that might draw someone's attention, and my dad would be very angry, you know.
We'll just do the interior.
Yeah. And it's very messy. I mean, it is, whenever we moved out of that building to the other building, some people helping us got the wrong office. So they just
Uh,
left everything a mess. And I'm like, no, 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 you're not, that's not my office. That's the school office. My office was down there by the classrooms. Well, and so then over the years, since we left, we've used it kind of like a storage building, kind of.
right.
And then the raccoons got in there and some kids vandalized it. And we're like, um, yeah, what happened is all of our doors have those push bars. So somebody in our church, we opened it up for the clothes closet and they had left one of the doors propped open, forgot to shut it, and that's how the kids got in there. And we're like, great. So it's a big fat mess. I don't want anybody to think this is what the school looked like, which I know they wouldn't,
Oh
but
yeah, they will. It's been abandoned for a while, right?
yeah, since 2016. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
So did the little girl when you seen her? Um, I have a question because I've had some encounters too with a demon. Was you able to like? Did she look solid or was she transparent?
Oh, you mean the young woman?
Oh, was it? It was a woman. Okay,
It was
yeah.
a teacher. Yeah, it was a preschool teacher. She was probably 24, 25, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, she looked very solid.
Wow. See, the one
That's
I the ones I've seen have never been like. Maybe the only solid one I ever seen was the one I called the Tooth Fairy, and I'll put a link to it in the description. Um, it actually lifted my head in my sleep.
mm,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah. I'll tell you about
that's
that
really
some other
creepy.
time. I'll put the link in the description if people want to see it. So I want to know more about this school. This is getting creepier as we go.
Yeah, it's gonna get even more creepy. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. So that was the conclusion of that particular story. She was just a teacher for maybe a year or two, and of course, I don't. Sorry, I have to keep an eye on my cat. Um, I don't think I told anybody that story, except for family, of course, except for my dad, just mainly my siblings and probably my mom.
Right.
Um, let's see. Now here's a story that I wrote down that one of my students told me. He said he was telling the youth group, because the youth group would use our building on like Wednesday nights and I think Sunday nights. And the other church people would have, at the other building. Well, he was telling the youth group about um, the student that saw the three guys, scratching on the wallpaper type thing. And so a member of our church told them all this. I guess she was over there because one of her daughters or both her daughters were in the youth group, so she went over there to pick them up or something.
Right.
And she told them a story. Now, years ago, before we had our new building, she invited a friend of hers who was a Buddhist, and she told him he could not wear his Buddha necklace in the church because and he said why. And she gave him an explanation, but whatever that explanation is, I don't know because, the student didn't tell me what it was. So the man forgot about it and he was in the kitchen sink area. The female church member pointed to it and said, take that off in a not a deep voice, sorry, in a loud voice because she said that's you don't bring in another anti sorry, my cat, I need to she gets into stuff. So anyway, I don't know if she was freaked out by this, but immediately the entire necklace broke into pieces and fell into the floor. And I thought, wow, because I never heard that story until the student told me. But he never wore the Buddha necklace again. Well, of course he couldn't, but he never got another one.
Wow.
And this student had told them about the Masonic stone being removed, but they didn't believe it, so they went and asked my dad. My dad said yes, he asked them to remove it. And
So where was the Masonic stone? Where was it at?
they always put their stones at I want to say the northeastern part of any building that they helped build or something like that. And we had several masons. This is way back in the early 1900s, I think, maybe something like that, because it was a cornerstone. They always put it in the cornerstone because they tend to believe that. I did a lot of research about masons, but I can't remember what all they believe, but something to do with the northeast corner. And so anytime you see a building, you might look at the northeast corner, there's a cornerstone. So my dad said when we first got here, I don't know how long it took him to remove it, but he said, because there was a big fight about it, Well, when I say fight, discussion. And he said, Jesus is the cornerstone, not the Masonic Lodge. So he put our motto is in Colossians 1:18. And I forgot what it is. Sorry, I've been under a lot of stress lately, so my memory's a little shaky.
That's okay.
But it's the one that my dad had played, or well, he didn't personally put it there, but the people who put it there, it's still sitting there. It's engraved and everything.
Right. So can you tell that it's been removed? Like, will we be able to see that?
No, well, there's just another stone in its place. That'd probably be the only proof. There was a picture that I have when it was taken out, but I would have to hunt for it because I'm not sure I think I know where it is, but I'm not sure.
That's the way I am. I have file upon file upon file of stuff.
Oh, yeah, these aren't on the computer. This is like printed out and everything. Like
I need to pay somebody to go through my external drives and like organize them.
Yeah. I take too many pictures. I try to organize them, but it's kind of hard.
Right.
But some of them I do.
All right. So I guess we're on to the next encounter, right? Is that where we was headed to?
Yeah. This one is going to be probably in my opinion, the scariest one I have ever experienced. It's my student who witnessed this as well. She refuses to talk about it. I'm friends with her on Facebook. She refuses. She goes, they all called me Miss Dawn. So she would always tell me, like I would send her a Facebook message or something like, do you want to talk about it? I need some more details, maybe something you might have forgot about. And she goes, no, I don't remember that. That was too horrific. I'm thinking, well, it happened to me, really. You were just standing next to me when it happened. You'd think I would have the problem, not you. And she'd laugh and say,
right.
No, Miss Dawn, I don't want to talk about it. I said, okay, I will respect that. And, I won't push you anymore. I said, if you ever do, then my door is going to be always open. And she said, okay. Right. So, when this event happened, I told her, don't tell me what you saw, write it down on a piece of paper.
Right.
So she wrote that down and I received it on December 8th of 2004, which has almost been 20 some years. Or is it 30? No, it's 20. Yeah. Okay, so and she not only wrote down the description of the story. If I tell the story first and then do the description, that might make more sense. Okay, so I'm thinking this happened on the same day because it took her a while to calm down before she could write this. She couldn't really concentrate after this, but okay. Oh, you know what? I might have a map. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if anybody can see this map. Okay. So I'm going to try to give everybody an idea. Okay. I don't see. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So the kitchen door is like right here, but technically be facing like this. You would walk around, and then there's this hallway, and this would be like the hallway right here. Oh, let's see if we can see that. And there used to be several total of 5 classrooms in this one room, but we took all the walls out.
Right.
So there's 2 large beams that cover the front of the door, and the testing table was up against these 2 beams. So my back and the student's back was to the main door. You know, we had the back door, and all the other students were sitting all the way around, you know, the walls and everything from the inner side. And my hair was kind of down like this. You know, I can see through my hair, you know, because it's not that thick. And we were wearing uniforms like we're supposed to. Now we can wear slacks or skirts, but back then skirts were the only things that were allowed. So I'm helping her with her math, and she was a teenager, so it probably would have been general math, algebra 1, pre-algebra, something like that. And I was standing up, and I want to say she was sitting down, I think. So, and this was this was of course after all the school shootings started up. So we didn't really have a doorbell like we did later on in years, but so the door, you know, we allow the parent to any parent could come in unannounced if they wanted to check on their kid, you know, just to let us kind of know they were coming in and stuff. Well, I didn't hear anything, and I have excellent hearing. You know, I may not have the best vision, but I have excellent hearing, and I didn't hear anything. I heard nothing. And then all of a sudden, I felt this weird sensation on my left side. I didn't even get a chance to react. And my student stood up and started screaming. Of course, you've got 25 kids staring at you because, you know, you're like, why is she screaming? And, you know, she's scared of wasps like I am. I will scream like a girl if I see a wasp. So, but, you know, wasps weren't around. They were kind of around, but it was in the wintertime. So, you know, sometimes they would nest in there. It was a very old building. So they would get in there and we'd have to always fight them. But no, I saw the same thing she did.
Right.
Just from the waist down. And she saw from, she saw the whole thing. But since my hair was in the way, I could only see the waist down. I never saw her face, which I'm kind of glad because I don't know how I'd react. But so my dad's running down or coming down the hall, wondered why a student's screaming because he was in the school office, which is in the other wing. And I told him, I said, Dad, you calm the other kids down because I tend to listen to a man more than a woman anyway. And I said, I'll go take care of her. And so I had her, I said, okay, I'm going to give you a piece of paper, 2 pieces of paper, actually. You write down the story, what happened, what you saw and everything. And then on the other paper, you write down the description of what you saw. Because she said there was a woman standing next to you. I said, well, don't tell me anymore. Just write it down. So I said, then I will tell you what I saw. Well, her description matched exactly what I saw. So there's 2 of us that saw the same thing.
Wow.
So, it took me a long time to calm her down. She's one of those type of girls who's very excitable, you know, just very, very excitable. Okay, so here's her story. She says, I was sitting at the testing table. That's what we call it when they take a test. They're not allowed to take a test at their desk because, you know, they could cheat. Yeah. And she says, Miss Dawn was leaning over to my left side to help me on my math. A lady came up, so she must have seen her walk up, I guess, right next to her on her left side. And she was looking like she was going to slap her or scratch Miss Dawn. and her hand was about 2 or 3 inches away from her face, and her head was really close to Miss Dawn's head. And so here's a description she wrote of the woman. And I actually felt the tingle on the left side of my face. And I didn't realize it at the time, but not until she wrote that. And of course, chills went up and down my spine, you know. She said she was wearing a light baby blue sunflower dress with yellow flowers. She had blonde hair. Her hair was curled under, kind of probably like this, like maybe an old style fashion, you know, like maybe in the 50s or 60s, kind of. She didn't really say how. She had a long figure, dark blue eyes, white pantyhose, same height as me, black shoes, a little nose, and weird lips with pink lipstick. I thought, Dad, gone, that's very descriptive. Sounds like something I would describe because as a writer, I describe things very detailed, you know.
Yeah, she must have really paid attention.
Yeah, she did. And it all happened within just a few seconds, you know, or maybe she stood there a little bit longer than what I felt, you know, I don't know.
Or sometimes, we'll kind of something scares us, we'll kind of burn that image, like into our brain. Because I've done that when something scared me. You take in every detail.
Hmm. Yeah, just like, yeah, because I remember seeing the exact same dress. I just saw her, the bottom part of her dress to the pantyhose and the shoes. I didn't see anything else, thankfully.
Wow.
And she saw her a second time. And this was, I guess I was down the hall in the school office or something, because at that time that's where our copy machine was. And sometimes I had to make copies for something for the students. And she said she was scoring because they had to score their own work. And she had a question to ask me. I guess, okay, maybe I was there at this time. She said, then I went back to scoring and I looked up, and this woman is standing next to the lockers where Miss Dawn's purse is and leaning her right hand on the edge of the lockers by the bookcase, her left hand on her hip. Her dark blue eyes stared at her, or stared at my student, moved her eyes left, then right. Then she stopped looking and looked back, and she was gone. And so um, she said Miss Dawn went to go get her purse 10 seconds later, or 10 seconds this woman stood there. And she said, um, well, did you go? I think I went into the office or something. And she said that lady went in the office. And 10 seconds later, I went down there, and she goes, did you talk to that lady in the office? I said, there was nobody in there, but I felt a cold draft. And I was like, that was kind of weird that I felt that, you know.
It kind of sounds like she was following you, like kind of like either mad at you, attached to you, or have you known anybody that matched that description in the past or anything?
Mm-mm, nothing I could think of. No. And of course, that church had been there for, at this point, 2004. The building itself was completed in 1917.
Okay.
Just the sanctuary part. So the church had been founded for a lot longer than that, but they usually met at people's houses and stuff.
Right. I,
So I don't the
that is,
thing that she described, the white pantyhose.
yeah, that's really,
Mostly, I don't even know back in the 50s, 60s if they had white pantyhose, but
that's what I was going to ask. I didn't know if they would or not. Well, Dawn, I know you got a lot to do today, and we've done a 30-minute segment today. This will be a teaser for tomorrow's live. We'll probably go an hour tomorrow if that's okay.
oh yeah, that's fine. I kind of planned it for an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I figure we would go an hour tomorrow. We give them a 30-minute tease today to let them kind of know what's happening. You've got a lot more, right? Or do you still have a lot more?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a
and
whole lot more.
she
Yeah.
has a lot more. She has really took a lot of like very in-depth notes of everything that has happened at this church, and hopefully at the end of doing this with Dawn, this series, we'll be able to maybe tour the church. A lot of people asked about a nighttime investigation. We won't probably be able to do that because there's a lot of people in the area that it would probably upset, and we're not out to do that at all. And also, I don't want to do anything, that's going to be considered sacrilegious or blasphemous or anything. I think that a walkthrough, maybe spend a little time in there, get some pictures, a little bit of video. We'll have Dawn, she can show us, what room was what and what was where according to her stories, and where things happened. And I think that would suffice, don't you, Dawn? I think that would be enough.
Yeah, I think so. And if something changes in the future, we could probably do a nighttime thing, but there's just too much because we'd have to, I don't know if you'd want to do it with the lights out, but it'd be very dangerous because there's just stuff everywhere. And if we were in a hurry to get out, like run away, we might trip and fall and hurt ourselves, you know?
As far as lighting, you wouldn't have to worry about lighting. I have a lot of portable lighting that I use for the Bigfoot hunting. I could light the whole inside of that church up.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I have huge lights, and they will run forever on a charge.
Mm,
So unless something zaps the charge, now I've heard people say that happens, but
yeah.
I do have a lot of lights. I've got a headlamp that goes on your head. It is like this long. I mean, it
Mm,
just is huge. So we can put out a lot of light, and if we're able to do a nighttime in the future, maybe we can. I'm not going to promise them anything. If it happens, it happens. Maybe we can get my daughter Kaylee for bait. We can leave her in there in the dark. She can sit in the middle of the auditorium. See if something
I don't think she'd like that.
touches
Yeah. And you were going to use me as bait for Bigfoot. Yeah.
No, well, I'm looking for some good bait. That's the problem.
I
I'm
don't want
gonna.
to be bait.
I'll tell Kaylee real quick. Kaylee, in this church, there's a lady that tried to scratch her in the face and slap her that we're going to, and her and a student seen her. And we need somebody to sit in the auditorium in the dark in the church, and we'll put an IR camera on you to see if there's any movement around you or if she touches you. She said no, she's not going to be bait.
Well, she's smart.
But that really gives me chills because I've had encounters and I've seen demons. I don't believe in ghosts. I know a lot of people's going to disagree with me, but I believe demons are familiar spirits, which are same thing. They're demons. They
Too.
imitate, deceive, lie, steal, and destroy. And I've had people say, and this is a weird thing, and I want your opinion on this too. While we're on, I want to run a little past 30 minutes, I guess. A lot of people's asked me. They said, "Mike, have you ever?" Wow, somebody's in a hurry. And they said, "Mike, have you ever had anybody or one of those creatures mind speak to you?" Out of all of the things I've been involved in, out of all of my encounters, living at my granny's, happening every night, just living in it, seeing them all the time, having encounter after encounter after encounter, I have never had that happen. And people's asked me, "Have you ever had the feeling of dread put on you?" I've never had dread put on me. Now I've had a feeling of, it's time to leave, it's time to go, I'm uncomfortable, something like that, but not like a feeling of dread. And I think the reason that it doesn't happen to me, hold on, please stop. I'm on live. And I think the reason that it has never happened to me is because I don't allow it. Because to me that is spiritual to be able to do that. And it's a familiar spirit. I put the armor of God on when I go out, so it's not able to speak to me. In my opinion, I'm not open to it. What do you think?
You're talking about demons, right? Ghost demons thing, the same thing. Or are you talking about Bigfoot?
uh Bigfoot or most of the Bigfoot or Dogman, a lot of people say that they mind speak. What do you think?
Um, yeah, me, I don't, an animal speaking to a human, to me, I don't, there's no, because if that was true, then we would all be able to speak with all animals. I think it would be, now the feeling of dread, that would be the feeling because something's out there to get, like you feel like you're the prey, kind of. And I've had that feeling out in the woods by the lake whenever I'd go out there to where I usually go to take photos and just relax and stuff. But I've never had anything speak to me in the mind, unless it was either Satan or, well, I say Satan, the demons can talk to you because that's how they trick man into doing things, or the Holy Spirit, and you can tell the difference because the Holy Spirit won't lie, but the demons will.
So what about if these creatures are Nephilim and they have like a super ability? What do you think about that?
Well, my sister believes in that, but I think the way my dad, because he went to seminary and studied everything, I think his opinion on that, I think I've heard him preach on it, I can't be 100% sure, was nobody knows for sure. It's just speculation, it's just theory.
I agree.
But
Yeah,
because I do know that angels, when I consider demons are fallen angels. Demons and animals cannot procreate with humans. The DNA is completely different. Because if that was true, they would be part human, then their soul can be saved. But we know they can't because they cannot ask Jesus into their heart. So they can't, if they can't speak a language that's on earth, like, after the Tower of Babel happened, if they cannot speak English, if they cannot speak Hebrew, Latin, Aramaic, all those other things, then um, they can't get saved, and God would not allow something to be half and half, because now man might mess it up and create something, but it would probably be more animal because God is the creator of life,
right.
you know. And for a woman to get pregnant by an animal, God would not allow that because that would be an abomination because he said, do not lie with animals. You're not
Right.
allowed to have sex with animals. So,
Right.
and
Unfortunately,
that's an abomination to the Lord, is what he said. Yeah.
unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that does. Yeah. That's why there's a law against it. So,
Yeah. Yes.
but
Uh,
if these creatures, which since you said you've killed and shot one, or shot and killed one,
yeah.
or
I
at least
believe.
you shot one. You don't know if you killed it, but with the amount of blood. But
Right.
so that tells me they're flesh and blood animals.
Right.
They eat, they die like we do, and I assume they bury their young, or I mean, sorry, bury their dead. Um, Heard other stories on other YouTube channels to where they rip them apart if they're too badly damaged. Like this one man saw.
Or I've even heard it. They eat each other.
Yeah, yeah. There's no evidence left behind. Yeah,
And a lot of tribes in Africa, they believe that if they eat the dead, they gain their spirit, their strength, and their knowledge. So,
yeah.
and if these creatures really do go back that far and they have an intelligence, like the Indians said they were very intelligent. That they traded with them, they had their own language. They were a tribe. So, and another thing that got me in trouble with another page is I told another page that he was not an expert, and he's now blocked me because I asked questions and stuff. But that's just my opinion. I don't believe there's any experts in this field until we can get a body and we can present all the evidence. How can there be an expert? I mean,
Hmm.
show me a body. If you can show me a body, present me with a body, then I'll say you're an expert. But I don't think there's any experts in this field right now.
Nope, there's not. If it is, it's government, and they're not going to share their findings at all. But
Oh, yeah.
they're
Yes.
not experts, and the only expert is God because He's the one that created them.
I
And
agree. All
um,
right.
but
Well, Dawn,
yeah.
I
Oh,
think you're on the right track too. Um, that's what I think also. But I wanted to thank you for coming on today. And then tomorrow we're doing a live. It'll be about an hour long. It will be a live. You don't want to miss it. We'll take questions tomorrow from you guys. Also, if you have any questions about the church or whatever, we'll let Dawn answer as many of those as we can get to. Uh, Keeping up with the chat sometimes is almost impossible. Uh,
yeah.
it does get hard. Maybe we'll have some moderators on that'll help us or something stay up with that for the questions. Maybe put the questions in all caps locks. That will help us try to see the questions. I think that may help. But
Yeah.
oh, and a lot of the people have asked me to get the membership for my channel. So now you do have that option. If you would like to join the channel, there's a button right underneath every video that says join. And if you would like to join the channel, support the channel in our investigations, buying equipment, gas to and from, FOIAs, copies that we file for, stuff like that, you can join the channel and help support the channel there. You'll also get perks as far as emojis, things of that nature, and maybe down the road we can add some more perks as we go. And if you're not able to do that financially, we totally understand. And a like and a comment and watching is always enough. And Dawn, I want to thank you for being here with us today. I'm going to give you the floor, and I'm going to let you take us out of today's conversation.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm surprised I stayed awake because I'm really tired. That time change really gets to you. Probably out there, some other states don't do that, but we try to get that passed and it didn't work. But yeah, I do have a lot of other stories, and I had a former student of mine show up last Sunday, I do believe. And he told me some stories that happened in the new building. So I have an additional news story. And this is I don't know if I can show it, how many pages. This is what all I've got right here.
Oh, wow.
And some of it's handwritten. I have typed it, it's color coded, charts, maps, you name it. Try to preserve it so where in case something happens to me, it's still somewhere out there, you know.
Right.
But yeah, if anybody from our area is watching, if you have a ghost story or what we call a demon story, ghost story, let us know, because maybe we have a match and maybe we can figure out what person, dead or alive, these demons are pretending to be, you know.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, until tomorrow night on the live, we will see you on the next one. Be safe, keep your head on a swivel, and don't be something's dinner.